Hey everyone, had a few minutes. I wanted to do a review of something I attended recently. Everyone, I'm sure many of you have heard of Tony Robbins. I have been a follower of Tony Robbins' work since probably the mid-1990s. I first got acquainted with Tony back in probably around 94, 95. When I read his book Awaken the Giant Within, and then I read Unlimited Power. I took his course Personal Power 2 way back in the mid-90s. I think I saw it on a late night infomercial and was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. So actually listened to that several times. And then there was another one around 2000 I listened to, which I think was called let's see. I can't recall the title of that last one that I watched, but it was actually very good as well, and probably will think of the name of it when I click off the video. However, I never did attend his conferences, and I was always interested in doing that at some point in my life. I never could justify paying thousands of dollars to do it, but lo and behold, the pandemic occurred in the year 2020, and all of us, many of us, found ourselves, being confined to the space of our homes. So Tony Robbins, being the very innovative person that he is, decided to start doing some of his conferences within the confines of his basement, and he spent millions of dollars on a studio and was able to draw many people in with his various conferences that he does. And I attended one free conference this past fall, and then I enjoyed that. And then I also attended the UPW online virtual conference back in March of this year. And this is not an endorsement of Tony Robbins one way or the other. I come from an entrepreneurial mindset in life. I have been self-employed in the past for about 7 years and had employees and independent contractors work for me. So I choose to embetter my life with any tools or principles that work and that are based in common sense and practicality and obviously morality. And so I like a lot of the things that Tony Robbins talks about. Practical psychology, some of the stuff such as neuro-linguistic programming I'm a little iffy on, but some of those principles can be extracted and applied to embetter your life. And as a committed follower of Yeshua, imperfect though I am, I critique everything from a biblical worldview. I critique everything from the Torah, from the perspective of what his commandments state. And when you do that, you're operating within the boundaries of your Creator. So I have not always done that, as many of you know, having listened to other videos that I put out. But I wanted to do a brief critique of, not really a critique, but review of Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, UPW, March 2024. And kind of give the pros and cons. I have to tell you up front, just to kind of cut to the chase, that overall I really liked the event. It was very useful at this time in my life. I was kind of in a grand funk for a number of years, and I seem to not be able to pull out of it. I've tried everything from exercise to eating healthier, changing my diet even more so, even though I'm already tend to be a healthy eater, and seeking the Most High more. And nothing seemed to be able to pull me out of the emotional, I don't know, not really depression, but just stagnation, I guess is a better word. So I decided, hey, why not do this? I've always wanted to do it. So I signed up for the event. I'm not exactly sure what I paid for it. I think it was something like $700 or $800. And given the fact that it was not physically in person in some city, I saved a good bit of money on it. I will say this, that technology can be a double-edged sword. You know, sometimes when you're doing these kind of events, you're affected by whether or not your internet connection is working, or perhaps their internet connection is working, and whether or not things are working correctly with cameras and microphones and all that kind of stuff. And by no means am I a expert in that sort of thing, but during the event, for the most part, everything did work out really well. There were a few times where things kind of like did not work, and so, you know, that I think frustrated me a few times throughout the event, which was, I believe, 3 days, maybe 4 days. It's been back in March, so I can't even remember. I think it was a 4-day event. I actually took off work, took some vacation days to do this, because I am committed. I'm committed to bettering myself and creating a better quality of life. And I do believe our psychology, the way we think, the way we believe, the way we speak, all of that certainly affects our outcomes. And our beliefs can be limiting and empowering. And we need to know the reasons why we believe what we believe, not just spiritually or theologically, but also practically on a daily basis. You know, what do we believe about our identity? What do we believe about our roles and our goals in life? Not only what do we believe, but why do we believe what we believe, you know? And then applying those aspects of pain and pleasure and coming up with negative and positive motivations to achieve our goals. Where will we be in 6 months to a year if we do not achieve these goals? 3 to 5 years, 10 years, what will it ultimately look like? And one of the concepts that he mentions in his book, as well as this event, was the Dickens. I forget exactly how he phrased it, but the Dickens mentality is, you know, where do you see yourself in X amount of years? You know, what will it feel like? If you don't achieve your desired outcomes, how will that feel, etc. So you're using the motivating forces of pain and pleasure to drive you to achieve your goals. And I'll be quite frank, some of us sometimes, including myself, need a good swift kick in the rear end to get ourselves moving every morning. And one of the things I really appreciated about this event was that it certainly achieved that particular outcome each and every day. One of the first things that they do in the event is change your physiology, which changes your emotional states. So just like I now came back from a local gym that I'm a part of, I changed my physiology. I got myself moving and breathing and so forth. And that's very, very useful. And many people don't know how to change their emotional state at any given point in their daily existence. And so this concept, though I was familiar with it already, it was kind of more reinforced in the event, that literally you can change your emotional states within seconds if you choose to do so, through breathing, through physiology, through exercise, through movement, and so forth, and even through our words and the way we speak audibly. Those things are very important in life. These are all gifts from our Creator that we can apply and use for our advantage and for the betterment of, you know, our lives, our family, as well as our society. And so that was something that was driven home to us on a literally throughout the entire event. Even every half hour, every hour, stand up, move, breathe, you know, and they applied music to that. And whether you like the music or not is irrelevant. I like all kinds of music, so it kind of worked out. I like to move, I like to smile, I like to, you know, laugh a little bit, and all of that was incorporated into the event. So very much appreciated that aspect. Later on, I even virtually thanked the person in charge of all of that, because it kind of, it really was like the icing on the cake. So I don't have all of the notes from the event in front of me, because obviously I'm driving and I can't read or look at that sort of thing while I'm driving. Nevertheless, some of the things that I remember from the event were not only changing our physiological states and so forth, but the power of knowing our outcomes, and envisioning them in our mind's eye, being able to see them before they happen. All of these things are not strictly psychological or metaphysical. These things are, in fact, biblical. The scriptures talk about without a vision, the people perish. And I believe Tony even quoted that verse of scripture. Without a vision, the people perish. And I would go as far as to say, without a vision in your own personal life, people do not fulfill their God-given assignment on this earth. And I think that many people will perish spiritually as well as in a number of ways if we as individuals, especially those who are called by his name, Yahweh's name, do not fulfill our vision. And so we need to come up with that. We need to understand what that vision is, and not only what it is, but how are we going to achieve it. And these, along with many other concepts, were condensed within this 4-day period of time. And admittedly, they did a lot of infomercials throughout the event, and they have every right to do that. And so they were promoting other events in the future that you could attend, you could get a discount on, and so forth. And yes, I did find that slightly annoying at times, but at the same time, it was informative because at some point in the future, I would like to attend more of their financial and wealth building, wealth mastery courses, and so forth, which I find to be, and there's one called Life Mastery, which would not be a bad thing to do. So I'd say overall, I really enjoyed the event. There was one part at the very end I felt quite a bit uncomfortable with, and that was when they did the ecumenical, shall I say, meditation, prayer, whatever it was. I am very strong in my faith, in Yeshua. I tolerate anybody's belief. Anybody has a right to believe whatever they want. I'm libertarian in that sense, and I will, fight for that right to be free to choose whatever you believe or whatever you choose not to believe. However, since I was a part of this event, I felt like I could not align myself with that spirit which the religious or philosophical leader at the end was clearly aligned with. There was a spirit involved in that, and I felt uncomfortable with that. I felt like I was attending a New Age festival at that point, and so I quickly watched the entire process, but I did not willingly participate in that because I felt a check in my spirit not to do that. So other than that, I really can't say I could really find anything wrong with the event morally or spiritually. Now, that was a significant kind of negative aspect of it, and I think that they did not see it as a negative aspect. They thought of it as simply we're affirming something positively in the atmosphere, and we're declaring stuff positively and positive affirmations and so forth. And I'm all for positive affirmations, don't get me wrong. That was emphasized throughout there. But I am not for invoking any kind of negative spiritual entity or whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying they did that willingly or clearly. I'm just simply saying that I believe there was a deceptive spirit involved in that. And so having a spirit of discernment, which I do have that, I believe that's one of the gifts that the Ruach HaKodesh has given me. I would say that was the part that I did not like about the conference. Not that I don't like prayer, not that I don't like meditation, or even positive affirmations. It's that there was a spirit associated with that was more New Age and new spirituality. And having sort of a little bit of a background in that and other things, I chose to not align myself with that part. Nevertheless, that was only one little tiny part of the conference. And some of you Christians out there, Messianic believers, may be saying, well, a little leaven leavens the whole lump of dough. And you're absolutely right. In Scripture, that is correct. But I knew from the outset, as a discerning individual, that these people hosting the conference are not people who believe in the Judeo-Christian Scriptures, at least the way I believe them. And so Tony does claim to be a Christian, probably more liberal in the way he interprets that, and that's his choice. He's a very well-informed person. I have a high degree of respect for him. I think he's an outstanding individual. He does a lot of good, probably more good than I will ever do in this world. So I cannot judge him personally. I think he's a great guy. I would like to meet him someday, shake his hand. He has been a positive influence in my life throughout my entire adulthood, I would say. There were some really good parts of the conference where we broke out into various small groups virtually, and we got a chance to talk through principles that we were learning or various things that we were learning throughout the conference, and I really enjoyed that aspect. I like interacting with people in small groups. And so we got a chance to kind of work through those issues, and some people were very emotionally involved in those small groups, and I as well, and I really enjoyed that aspect. And I think that's really where the rubber meets the road. I mean, you could be in a conference with excuse me, several 100,000 people or 1 million people worldwide, and you can feel like nobody else is there. But when you break out in these small groups and start applying those new principles you learn, wow, it makes a huge difference. And so that's really one thing that stands out to me. There was, I think Tony had damaged his arm, I believe, or shoulder. So part of the conference, he was really not able to be there live. Some people thought that sucked, quite frankly. I didn't. I mean, I things happen, and you know, you can't help the fact that he hurt his arm or whatever. But you know, we did. He was there for I think the first half of the conference, and he had some amazing, outstanding speakers that actually spoke during the event and presented various things. And so the speakers were outstanding. Some of the speakers that I heard toward the end of the conference had amazing life stories, and one guy in particular came from a horrible background, but he showed how he was able to overcome those things. And I just, you know, so it was very inspiring in that regard. And many people say, well, I don't have to spend $800 to get all of this. And that's true. You don't. You can probably get it in the pages of a book like I've done in the past, or you can watch YouTube videos. But this is a very strategically condensed material that targets specific outcomes for our lives. And I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew that anything with the name Tony Robbins attached to it, it's likely going to be very profitable, very good. The health aspects of the seminar were very good. Much of that information I was already aware of, but some of the things I really totally wasn't applying. Like, for instance, they talked about juicing celery and how it's healing to our organs and so forth, and I began to do that again as a result of that conference. And I used to be a very huge juice advocate throughout the 90s and early 2000s. And then life happened, and I kind of like lessened my juicing throughout the years. And so now I'm regularly juicing again, not daily, but on a regular basis throughout the week. And so these, among other tools, when added together, compound upon themselves, and they become a pretty powerful force to embetter our lives, to empower our lives. And I'm all about people becoming better at what they do, becoming healthier, becoming more well as a total person, spirit, soul, and body. And so overall, I would probably 1 out of 10, or I would say 0 to 100, I would rate the conference probably a 95%. And so that's pretty significant. That's a pretty significant score, I would think. And there are, like I said, technological issues that could have been worked through better, I believe, but I think they're like their fourth or fifth conference online virtually, so they're kind of still working through those things. But the emotional energy that is in this conference is just absolutely amazing. I mean, you're not going to find that too many other places. And so I do look forward one day to actually attending a physically live event in person, not just virtually, but perhaps one of the financial mastery or life mastery ones. But overall, I really liked it. And again, there were a couple areas I wish, were different. But overall, I really liked it. I enjoyed it. And I do recommend it. But I also recommend discernment, spiritual discernment. If you do not have the Holy Spirit, in Hebrew, that is the Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit of Holiness, He will give you gifts when you become a believer in Yeshua. And one of those gifts are the ability to discern spirits. And so I believe He's given me that gift, at least to some degree in my life. And so that's something that I believe every person needs when you're going into any kind of secular event like this. Be able to discern the spirits, whether they are from the Most High or not. And if you're able to do that, then you can sort through the positive things, you can sort through the negative things, and you know what to beware of and what not to. So I know some people come across, if you do a search on YouTube or the internet, and is Tony Robbins a Christian, or is Tony Robbins a follower of Christ? You're going to get a lot of negative people talking a lot of trash about him. And you know what? I am no judge of no man except the one that you hear speaking right now. And I'm responsible for my sons, but I am not responsible for the choices that other people make. And nor am I their judge. There is only one judge. His name is Yeshua HaMashiach. And He is the final judge of all of us. He is the Son of Man. The Father in heaven has given all judgment unto the Son. So please refrain from, overly criticizing individuals because you don't agree with them on certain things, or you think you don't agree with them. In other words, we need to judge ourselves. We need to understand that when we stand before the Most High, we're giving account of our life and how we endured to the end. And so we're not going to give an account for someone else. So I just wanted to share my thoughts about that conference. Again, it was UPW, Unleash the Power Within, Tony Robbins virtual conference 2024. I believe they hold these throughout the year. So if you're struggling with certain things in life, or you're struggling to get to achieve your goals, your outcomes, or you're in a negative, emotional, funky state right now and you can't seem to get out of it, I truly believe that many of the principles that he suggests in his conferences and they teach will actually work for you if applied on a consistent basis. And that's the key, applying them on a consistent basis. And there is a certain synergy when you're in a conference like that you can't get anywhere else. So I think that's the value for me personally in this conference. And I just wanted to share my brief analysis of that. It was by no means comprehensive, nor am I responsible or liable for anyone who attends it in any way, shape, or form. I'm simply speaking from my own experience. But so I pray the Most High blesses you, and I hope you have an outstanding day. Shalom.